Now I just want to call on my esteemed chavrusa, my friend, the guy who actually is responsible for bringing me here in the first place, Rabbi Naftali Estreicher.
I have the advantage of going last, which I think that I'd like to take the opportunity to be able to sum up. I think that it's self-evident, somewhat from the ongoings of the evening, in terms of what I would like to convey on behalf of my friends, on behalf of my colleagues, as far as what I view as the mission of yeshiva. Again, referring to Chanukah as the time period that we're in now. And there's a Rashi that relates to the fact that during the time that the Jewish people were in the desert, they had the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and when they inaugurated the tabernacle is where we see the word chinuch. We talk about chinuch, and that's really what we're celebrating here, the yeshiva as a chinuch institution, and exactly what the mission it is that we're trying to accomplish. And Rashi tells us there that they were every one of the tribes merited to be able to give a present on the inauguration of the Mishkan. However, Aaron, we find in the following parsha, in the following section of the Torah, the pasuk tells us, the verse tells us that he was given the mitzvah of lighting the candles in the menorah in the Mishkan. And Rashi points out, what is the reason, what's the juxtaposition between the fact that he was given the mitzvah of lighting the candles in the tabernacle to the presents that preceded it. So it says that when Aaron saw all the presents and all the gifts that were being given by the other tribes, he had chalishas hadas. He felt somewhat at a loss to the fact that he wasn't able to partake in the giving of the presents and the inauguration of the Mishkan. To which the juxtaposition between the two verses is telling us that Hashem responded to him, yours is greater than theirs. You're going to have a mitzvah of lighting the candles in the tabernacle on a constant basis. That actually was during the Chanukah time, when Chanukah was during Kislev, and actually Kislev, we'll say, got gypped. And later on in history, Hashem paid them back with the Chashmonaim and being able to inaugurate or re-inaugurate the tabernacle, the Beis HaMikdash later on in history because of Kislev lost out there. So this really took place during this time period. And Rashi tells us that the connection was that Hashem was responding to the fact that he felt he wasn't able to inaugurate the Mishkan, the tabernacle. So the question, Shalom Kamenetsky, Rabbi in Philadelphia, mentioned that how is it that the lighting of the menorah, of course, Hashem says, that's gadol mishalahem, that's greater than what they did. It seems to be completely unrelated, unconnected. They were giving presents to inaugurating the tabernacle, whereas he was lighting the menorah, he was doing service in the tabernacle itself after the fact that it was inaugurated. So what is the connection? So he says, we see from here that chinuch, the real definition of chinuch is not education. The real definition of chinuch is dedication. And Hashem was responding, you have certain feelings of the fact that you weren't able to dedicate and inaugurate the Mishkan, the tabernacle, when it was, from its conception, from when it first got started. However, yours is greater than theirs because you're actually going to roll up your sleeves and be involved on a constant basis in terms of showing the Jewish people what the Avodas Hashem, what it means to serve Hashem. And the menorah, we know, I might add, also represents Torah, the fact that every one of our aspects of our life has to be guided through the Torah. That was specifically given to him. It's the one and the same. Inaugurating the tabernacle is not a celebration of the beginning of the tabernacle. It's the recognition that this is our life and this is our lifeblood through the tabernacle. And so Hashem was telling Aaron a Kohen, yours is greater than theirs. You're actually going to, on a consistent basis, throw your full body into it and letting the menorah representative of the guiding light of the Jewish people, of the Torah itself. In which case, education is a means to be able to come to what chinuch really is, which is dedication. And that answers the question, of course, as we stand here with my colleagues, and also wanted to thank Mr. and Mrs. Radbell and Rabbi and Mrs. Neuberger for for starting us off and recognizing that despite our differences, everyone says we're so different and what are the courses that we've taken, the thing that brings us together is this concept. If you realize that whatever it takes and whatever you bring your whole being into chinuch, you bring your whole being into being able to connect. Father always says over chanoich lenar arpi darko. You have to be able to, and according to this explanation, dedicate each individual according to their own special uniqueness that they have. Every student that you encounter, every person that you encounter, it requires for you to be able to tap into what they have, to be able to have them dedicate themselves to what it is at the mission of the yeshiva or whatever institution it is. So really, as I mentioned in the beginning, summing up as the final speaker here, being able to sum up that really when you listen to what some of the speakers have said before us, you see a common thread through all of them, including every one of you sitting here, really represents the fact that we're all here for the same mission of being able to dedicate ourselves, the people we come in contact with, all the various institutions that are represented here are all for the same purpose. We really share the same goal in terms of being able to accomplish chinuch, being able to dedicate ourselves. And really, I created a list of all the people that I would have liked to have thanked just to be able to show you the different parts and different commitments that they did to be able to dedicate, that they dedicated of themselves, and show you what kind of impact that had on myself, on my wife, and then all the students that existed within the yeshiva. But suffice it to say, I was given a limited amount of time, and I'm sure that I'm at the end here. But I just wanted to be able to mention that really it's an honor for myself and for my colleagues, but really what has been accomplished over here is really honoring all of us sitting in this room. Because every one of us who has come here and given of themselves towards the yeshiva and to whatever institution that we're affiliated with is all for the same purpose of being able to dedicate ourselves to the mission that the particular institution, the particular organization is trying to convey. And really it's a celebration for all of us. And in particular, I wanted to mention, of course, as the yeshiva, in particular for myself and for my wife, for my colleagues, that the founding fathers, we'll call them, of the community that brought about the yeshiva, that had the idea, and then those who actually started the yeshiva, as we mentioned before, and our wives in particular, that of course their dedication is behind the scenes in many respects, but it shouldn't go unnoticed that their dedication, without their dedication to the mission, I knew I would get emotional at some point, but at least again, Mr. Schoen, I came after Mr. Schoen, so he set the bar for me. So. But Hanhalas Yeshiva, the parents of the students, the grandparents, my own Rabbeim, everybody who throughout the chain has been able to create the students themselves, the board members, Mr. and Mrs. Habif, I want to make special mention of, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis, Mr. and Mrs. Italiander, and the office staff for their tireless dedication. It's all for the same mission of recognizing the idea of being able to embed, infuse within our students the concept of dedicating ourselves to being true Ovdei Hashem, where every aspect of our life is governed by Torah and being able to be directed in that sense. And therefore it's really a celebration and an honor for all of us sitting in this room. And I really want to thank you for the zechus to be able to represent everybody here. We should all be matzliach from Mitzvah Hashem.
Just to let you know, one other person who, because he's a little bit of a crybaby, couldn't mention tonight, Jerry Grossblatt, who should be in everyone's thoughts now as one of the founders of this institution. Also, Mrs. Grossblatt is here tonight. Belleville takes an active role in it. Talk about coming full circle. All of you know Rabbi E. And his role at Yeshiva Atlanta and how dedicated his students are to him. You should know that Rabbi Estreicher Jr.'s students call him all the time. After they've graduated, they come back to visit. It's a remarkable thing to see the boys from years earlier come back to the yeshiva. We have a boy here tonight in the senior class from Antwerp, Belgium. I'm eager to see him come back to visit in the years to come.